Yeah, go ahead, please.
I had a question about this week's Kosher, but you were talking about like you had to be a Torah scholar, you had to know to be a prophet, you had to be knowledgeable in Torah to be a prophet.
Yes.
So how come Bilaam was a prophet? Like what's going on?
That's amazing question. Thank you. That's amazing question. So, so we just said that you have to be a pure person, pure vessel to get the prophecy. But not only Bilam, but it's actually says in the Torah that Hashem came in a dream to Lavan, right? Also not the biggest tzaddik in the world, right? And actually, when we read Haggadah on Pesach, so we said this Lavan Aramean wanted to kill us. I don't know, Lavan Aramean wanted to kill us. So I had this question for some times until I got the answer. So the answer is simple. I don't know if you have ever had this question. So he wanted to kill the Yaakov, the root of the whole Jewish nation. That's meaning that if you kill the Yaakov, there is no Jewish nation. It's like he wanted to kill the whole nation of Israel. Right, so this Lavan had a prophecy. So and it says it clearly in the Torah. And he told Yaakov, so Hashem, your God, came to me in a dream, and he said, "Don't speak to my prophet Yaakov, not in a good sense, not in a bad." So that's also prophet, right? So sometimes Hashem had to come to these clowns, right? And same with who else? Avimelech, who kidnapped Sarah, right? The Plishti, right? So also Hashem came to him in a dream and said, well, "What are you doing? She's a married woman." So it's not only Bilam, other people as well, right? But if we're talking about Bilam, was of course the lowest of them all. You're right. That's a character. So Hashem created everything in a balance in this world, and He created prophets, the prophets of Moshe Rabbeinu and Bilam. All right. So Moshe Rabbeinu for Jewish people, and Bilam, right, is a counterpart for at the same generations. So very important. They live in the same generations. The prophet of the non-Jews, right, and he just so we understand. So this Bilam lived in the same generation as Moshe, right? As Moshe. So meaning that when Hashem, there is a medrash, when Hashem went to all of the nations and offered them a Torah, they refused. And Bilam, right? He could be higher than Moshe Rabbeinu, and he would be the leader of different nations that would be called Jewish nation. So they actually refused the Torah. So you understand? So Hashem had to have somebody like on very high spiritual level, and Moshe Rabbeinu, as we know, he worked on himself and he purified his character. He got rid of all of the bad traits. And Bilam, he actually was capitalizing on his prophecy. He was making money, a lot of money. He said, "Look, Mr. Balak, if you're going to go into war with Jewish nation or with different nation, so you would have to pay your army, like supplies, all of the food, drinks, maybe you have to would have to hire the missionary, not missionary, what is it? Missionary, what are these the soldiers, right? From whatever the word is, from different country, right? So you have to pay them a lot of money, or you pay me, and there is still no guarantee. You pay me, I curse them, and you're good. So that's how he used his talents, talents that were high, even the Moshe Rabbeinu. So Torah says that he knew the moment when Hashem is angry, and he was trying to curse that nation, whatever the nation it was, at that specific moment, and that's it. The nation would get cursed. So it was more Moshe Rabbeinu on one side, and there's Bilam on another side. But so the Goyim, other nations, have prophets even higher than the Moshe Rabbeinu, and they say Moshe Rabbeinu was not born. It's like perfect tzaddik as we know them, him, right? As the story goes, and I think I said this story before, but I think it's worth it to repeat. When Moshe Rabbeinu came with the whole nation to the Egypt, of course, out of the Egypt, They were in the desert. Of course, the whole world knew what happened, right? And including Bilaam, right? And he was actually explaining in a place where he was what was going on. He knew exactly what was going on, the splitting of the sea and other miracles. And one of the kings, I think from Arabia or somewhere, right? Which is close to the desert. So they heard about Moshe Rabbeinu, and he said, "I want to see this tzaddik. I want to see this guy. That God is talking to him. I want to see him." Right? And he sent his what is the artists, the painters, to paint the portrait of Moshe Rabbeinu, and they came to Moshe Rabbeinu, draw a portrait, brought back to the king, and king gave this portrait to his diviners, the people who can read the faces and decide the character, explain the character. And they said, this guy, we don't know who is it, but he's an adulterer, he's a killer, he's this, he's that, he's a cheater, he's the lowest of the lowest. And the king got so upset because he knew that the Moshe Rabbeinu was holiest of the holiest. So he said, I'm going to kill you, you're all liars, right? You're all liars. And they said, no, that's what we see in a portrait. So he said to this artist, maybe you draw me the wrong portrait. I have to kill you now. He said, no, your majesty, we drew exactly as it was. So he said, okay, go back and draw another portrait. They went back, came back, and the portraits are exactly the same. So, and he said that he gave the second set of portraits to these guys who can interpret faces. They gave exactly the same report, the worst of the worst. So king said, I have to do investigation. You come in with me, and I'm going to execute you there in the desert. So he came to the Moshe Rabbeinu, right, in the desert, and said, Mr. King, Mr. Moshe, right? So and he explained me the whole story. He said, please tell me who so he said, this artist, for sure, I see they painted perfect portrait. It's exactly you, so them I'm not going to execute. But these liars who say that they can read faces, them I'm going to execute. And Moshe said, don't execute anybody. So they were right. So he said, I was born with all of the bad traits possible, and I work on them. You understand? To cleanse him, to cleanse himself, to make himself holy, to be on this level. You understand? But the same in the same like parallel, this Bilaam, he did not. He was actually went down and become the filthiest person alive. You understand? And sometimes you see like people who you know like from many years ago, they live exactly the same life, exactly empty life, and you did Teshuvah, and you advance, and you learn, and you have a schedule, and you don't have time to sleep because you want to be first in the show, because you want to pray with a minyan, because of this, because you want to be holy, because you want to eat kosher, because all these things, right? And this low life, not low, like simple person, he lives exactly 15 years, 5 years, 20 years, exactly the same empty person. Exactly. You understand? So, but that's the difference between Moshe Rabbeinu and Bilaam. And it's the same difference. If you did Teshuvah, if you work on yourself, it's exactly the same difference between you and your classmate. Exactly the same difference. Right? So Bilaam had all of the potential, even higher than Moshe, and then he used to make himself rich and make his donkey his wife. Understand? And Moshe he made himself holy, right, through the hard work. Right? That's what Musar comes in. You work on yourself and you purify yourself.